we know the sentencing for Michael Cohen, the former personal attorney to the President of the United States. You see this from this hour as you're watching Outnumbered. Michael Cohen walking out after his sentencing today. His family preceded him. And one of the things I wanted to ask about today was the fact that, you know, his family wasn't brought in as much as like a Michael Flynn. And I see you nodding, Marie.
Yeah, I think it's been interesting. Well, Michael Flynn's family has been public in a different way. Even during the campaign, his son was very active on Twitter and such. But Michael Cohen says one of the reasons for this change in heart, and I still believe there's a little bit of that in there because of how dramatic this has been, is because of his family and his children. But if you're a Democrat and you're looking today at the president watching this coverage, the president has his former fixer now sentenced, his campaign manager set to be sentenced, his national security advisor set to be sentenced. All of them cooperating in different ways at different levels with Bob Mueller. And if you're the president, I think that makes you nervous. And if you're Democrats, you're about to take over the House and you say there's a pattern of lying from the president and his team on all of these issues, and we have to get to the bottom of some of them.
So your speculation is that you think the president should be worried, is what you're saying. But this has nothing to do with the court case that Bob Mueller put forth, Katie.
Yeah, which is Russian collusion, which I would point out that James Comey in his testimony last week said that the word collusion isn't a crime, and he's not exactly sure why media people like me keep using it. But it's true. I mean, you look at the indictments and the sentencing that happened today with Michael Cohen, with Paul Manafort, they're all personal crimes. Now, I would ask Tom the question about whether the president should be nervous, because it does feel like the sharks are circling. And from a political perspective, it doesn't look good to have people who worked on your 2016 campaign, despite the serious double standard between the way Michael Flynn was treated and the way Hillary Clinton was treated, for example, by FBI agents. It still doesn't look great when it comes to the public view of what's happening.
In the Cohen sentencing memo, it mentions some contacts with Russians in that memo we got last week.
It does, I guess. And look, I mean, there's no question that the president has made some, pretty bad hiring decisions in terms of surrounding himself with some of these people. There's no question about that. The president himself has said that Cohen was a terrible lawyer, never should have hired them. I think from the president's perspective, I think the thing that has to concern him is that would anyone in this situation is that when you have a prosecutor with immense leverage against people who have been in the inner sanctum for the last few years, there is just an inevitable coercive force to get them to cooperate, to tell things. I'm not saying that they would lie under oath and make stories up, but inevitably there is going to be this one-way ratchet that gets people to say, let me figure out how I can wheel and deal and cut a good deal for myself if it means turning over.
I wouldn't give the president the out, though, that he hired a terrible lawyer. I mean, he hired someone as a fixer who was a thug and who roughed people up. And I mean, both from whether it was reporters or all the other things that Brett Baer mentioned, that was intentional and for a reason. That's why he had that guy in his inner circle. Yep. But I think tragically, all of these people that we talk about in politics are not great people. Well, I mean, you look at the Clintons, you look at the president, and if you look back we just went through George H.W. Bush and we talked about what a great person he was. He was a less effective politician, maybe because he was a good guy. I think this is all a statement about what it takes to win. A statement about what it takes to win.
And the other thing I would add is that you don't need a fixer if you're not getting yourself in situations that need to be fixed.
Exactly. And the Clintons have fixers. The people that are powerful in politics have them, because they're not great people.
I want to get back to the politics of this, though, because when you look at the gap between now and the time that Michael Cohen actually goes into that federal prison type situation, which, by the way, we were talking off camera and you described as like a dormitory, more like a club, and we've heard that language. 36 months out of the much more time, close to 60 months that he could have gotten. We're seeing a softening there. But what that does is it communicates that there's some time for you to cooperate in some way. And what does that mean for Democrats? What do you think that they will look for between now and March? Katie?
Well, I would caution Democrats to hitch their wagon to Michael Cohen, who is someone who has proven that his job was to work and to be in these difficult and salacious situations. And whether Democrats want to use Michael Cohen, who's been a proven liar, as someone that they want to use politically against the president. Now, I think that they will. Lanny Davis, again, as I already said, is a Democratic operative. There's a reason why he took on Cohen's case, and he said in his statement, they're going to provide the platform for him to talk about everything that he can between now and March.
Is that risky, though? Because you've got somebody that the president actually was paying and he couldn't trust him.
It is. And look, the fact is that the Democrats run a high risk of bungling this whole thing. If they plan to use the next 2 or 3 months to give a forum to the Michael Cohen redemption tour,
Don't worry.
I think that's going to backfire.
We'll be right back. Stay close, everybody.